Alright, battlers, welcome to episode 3 of our Sinister Cup throwdowns. We're going up against SixSevenKevin, one of my friends from the Ghost Stadium Discord. I'm going to open with Poliwrath, he opens with Drifblim. I do farm up a little bit of energy, and then I bail out into Steelix to absorb this ominous wind. He brings in the Bastiodon, and as you can see there on its way out, that Drifblim did get the boost, so it will be a threat later on. I'm going to go straight for the Earthquake here against Bastiodon. It lands doing a tremendous amount of damage. We are going to decide to shield this charge attack here. It is Flamethrower, which would have done a good amount of work against Steelix. Probably not have KO'd, but still would have put us really low. I'm going to farm up the rest of this Bastiodon and then fire off a Crunch here against the Poliwrath. In hindsight, I probably could have gone for the Earthquake there, just with the additional fact that I could have done more damage to that Poliwrath if it would have landed. In comes the Alolan Raichu. I'm going to use these electric type attacks against the Poliwrath, trying to catch him here with a Thunder Punch, but he does burn his second shield. He's going to fire off another Power Up Punch against me here. I do decide to shield it, banking on the idea that I can get to this Wild Charge, and we do. Our Wild Charge nukes that Poliwrath, and in comes Drifblim again. I needed Alolan Raichu for that matchup, and it did go down, so that's not good for us. I do bring in my Poliwrath here and fire off the Power Up Punch. Expecting that I could get to the Hydro Pump, I do fire off the Power Up Punch. In hindsight, I probably could have gone for the Hydro Pump right off the bat. I bring Steelix back in and I use a Crunch on this Drifblim, but it is so tanky. I'm trying to get to that second Crunch, but he gets to his Shadow Ball first, and SixSevenKevin wins the match. Going into round 2, I open with Alolan Raichu. He opens with Slowbro. Slowbro is an interesting pick that's not getting a lot of love early on in the Sinister Cup, but I think it could be very useful. It is a Psychic type user that's also a Water type, so it does have a good matchup against Poliwrath, which is going to be one of the biggest threats in the Cup. He brings in Alolan Marowak, and I return the favor with a Alolan Marowak of my own. He does fire off the Bone Club bait, and I do take it with the shield. I'm going to fire off a Shadow Ball here to see if it lands. He does decide to shield the Shadow Ball. He's going to fire off a charge move of his own. Recognizing that it probably is a bait, I do not shield. He is out of shield, so I know the only thing I need to do is get to that Shadow Ball. He fires off another charge move. I am going to protect my Marowak here with the intention of using the Shadow Ball to finish off his. We take down SixSevenKevin's Marowak. He's going to bring in Slowbro. That confusion is going to hurt our Marowak pretty badly, but we get off the Bone Club as a parting gift. I make the fast swap into Alolan Raichu, and we're going to use the Thunder Punch here. Let's see if it's enough. It does take down the Slowbro. In comes Medicham, and I'm feeling pretty good about this matchup. I think I can get to the Wild Charge here, and because Alolan Raichu is part Psychic, it will resist that Fighting type attack. We get to the Wild Charge here, and it's going to take a huge chunk out of Medicham, putting us in a favorable position for the end of the match. I bring in a fully healthy Xatu, and whatever this attack is, I'm not concerned. We're going to use a few Air Slashes and finish off the Medicham. Going into this round, I open with Empoleon against Bastiodon. Empoleon is great against Alolan Marowak and the walls like Bastiodon. As you can see, that waterfall damage is doing a huge amount of work to this Bastiodon. I'm going to shield this charge attack here. It is Flamethrower. Flamethrower would be neutral. We encounter a bit of lag, and he switches out into Mawile. I'm going to leave my Empoleon in because Mawile is part Steel, so these waterfalls are doing really good work against it. I do fire off the Hydro Pump to get some shield pressure on Mawile, and before Empoleon falls, we take that Mawile all the way down to almost fainted. I do decide to bring in my Steelix here. Whatever attack this is, Steel or Fairy, I know I will resist it, so I allow it to go through. I'm going to use a few Dragon Tails here. Because Bite takes so long to charge up, we're just going to farm down the Mawile. In comes Bastiodon. I make a quick switch into Claydol. Claydol does have Earth Power. I'm going to shield this attack here. I'm not sure how much damage Bastiodon's attacks do against Claydol, but I just wanted to be on the safe side. He does bring in Drifblim, and I go for a Psychic Surprise. We do land the Psychic and do a huge amount of damage to Drifblim. He's going to fire off a charge move. Claydol is a ground and Psychic type, so it is super effective, but we are able to survive. I do fire off the Earth Power here to draw the shield, and it works perfectly. A few more extra sentries, and then I bring in Steelix. We fail to pull the trigger on the Crunch, and he gets off the Shadow Ball to finish our Steelix and win the game. Going into this round, I open with Bronzong. He opens with Haunter. I am liking Bronzong a lot in the Sinister Cup. As you can see, 3, 4, 5 Confusions will take down that Haunter. He brings in Bastiodon, but I've got a ton of energy, so you know what? I might stay in for a minute here. I do switch into Lucario. again with the Kingdom Cup flashbacks, but I'm telling you, Lucario is so good in this cup. I'm going to do a feature video on it soon. I use a power-up punch here against the Bastiodon. He does decide to shield, but it doesn't matter. Probably could have saved that shield for something in the back because Lucario versus Bastiodon is a lost cause. I'm not going to shield this attack from Haunter. Turns out it is Shadow Punch. Lucario barely survives. We almost get to that Shadow Ball, but one more Shadow Claw finishes us off. I'm going to bring in Bronzong, and one Confusion will erase that Haunter. I have a Psyshock loaded for this Mawile, but we have to be wary of the bite damage. I tried to draw the shield there, it didn't quite work, so I go for the Bulldoze. We do get the shield that time. I've got one shield in my pocket and an Alolan Raichu. All I need to do is get to the Wild Charge, and we barely get there. As you can see, Bite shreds the Psychic type, so watch out for that in your cup. Now at the halfway point in our video, we are switching opponents to Sockanga. He's one of my friends from the Ghost Stadium Discord, another very talented trainer. I start off here with Bronzong. He opens with a Mudshot Poliwrath. So those Mudshots are not going to do much damage at all. We are going to face off against his Steelix that he switches in. I'm going to fire off the Bulldoze here to see if he shields or not, and we don't get the shield. We do super effective damage. I bring in a Mudshot Poliwrath of my own. Expecting the Earthquake here, I do decide to shield. It is Earthquake, so he guessed correctly. I get a few more Mudshots in here and then fire off the Power-Up Punch. Let's see if we can draw the shield or if he lets Steelix fall. He lets Steelix go. So he has 2 shields, I have 1 shield. He has 2 Pokemon though. He brings in that Mudshot Poliwrath yet again. I'm going to fire off the Power-Up Punch here, and he allows it to land, almost taking down that Poliwrath, but he gets off one more move before he falls. We're going to let that through as well. He gets off a third Power-Up Punch. And our Poliwrath is weak. However, we are facing off against a Alolan Marowak. I go for the Hydro Pump, cheeky Hydro Pump, call me Jake style, and we land it, and that Marowak goes down. One more Mudshot, and we take the Poliwrath as well. Going to this round, I open with Empoleon. He opens with Steelix. Again, we talked about Empoleon versus the walls, and it is a favorable matchup for us. He switches into a Alolan Marowak, and this is bad news bears for Sockanga. I am going to shield this attack here. It is Bone Club. It would not have taken us down, but it would have taken a decent amount of life. We are actually going to allow this one through, and as you can tell there, Empoleon can probably take 3 or 4 of those Bone Clubs before it goes down. We bring down that Alolan Marowak, and he decides to bring back in Steelix, which means he has no answer for my Empoleon. I am going to use the Hydro Pump here. In this situation, trainers, you might choose to double shield your Empoleon if you recognize that your opponent is really struggling against whatever Pokemon you have that's giving them so much trouble. That Pokemon might be what you need to ride all the way to the victory. I'm going to bring in Bronzong here against the Steelix. I go for the Shield Bait with Psyshock, but not before he gets off a charge move of his own. It is Crunch, and as you can tell, Bronzong can probably take 2 crunches from the Steelix. We fire off the Psyshock, and we get the shield like we planned. I'm going to go here for the Bulldoze, but we're a little slow. I probably could have just used the Psyshock to finish him. We are going to decide to shield that Crunch. And yeah, a little bit of lag there, but we ended up hitting the Bulldoze button, so it gave us that. In comes Gardevoir. Gardevoir is an interesting pick. This one, I think, is carrying Charm, so it is a very deadly opponent against both the Psychics and the Ghosts. He actually gets to his charge move first and brings down our Xatu with a big Shadow Ball. We're going to open with Alolan Raichu. He opens with Empoleon. These electric attacks are doing neutral damage. In comes Miss Magus. Miss Magus is something we haven't seen much on the channel yet. I think it might get more play. It does have an interesting moveset. As you can see, Hex and Shadow Ball is what this one is running. I'm going to go here for the Bone Club bait with my Alolan Marowak. Let's see if he takes it. He does. We're actually going to fire off another Bone Club, but not before that Miss Magus gets off its charge move, which is Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball would have one-hit KO'd our Marowak. We're going to choose here to use the Bone Club and bring down that Miss Magus after one more Hex. He thinks it over and he decides to bring in Empoleon. I am going to fire off the Bone Club just to get some additional pressure on this Empoleon. We only get the Great there, but it's still super effective. But I had that energy in my back pocket with Alolan Raichu, and we fire off the Thunder Punch to take down that Empoleon. In comes Poliwrath, and we actually get to the Wild Charge, guys. Alolan Raichu, when used properly, can go on a run through these Sinister Cup Mons. With Alolan Raichu gone, I actually don't have a solid answer to this Poliwrath. I'm going to fire off the Bone Club here to get a little bit of chip damage in, but this battle might actually take a turn for the worst for us. I'm going to bring in my Lucario here, and I'm sure he is grinning. He's going to fire off the Hydro Pump and one-shot our Lucario to make the big comeback. Opening this match, I'm going to go in with Girafarig, and we run into that Bastiodon. This is not good for us. I'm going to charge up some energy here and then make the fast swap into Lucario. There is some overlapping coverage on my team here with Steelix and Lucario. We're able to face those walls in two different ways. He does bring in the Alola Marowak, and I'm going to fire off the Power Up Punch and then go straight for the Shadow Ball. He's going to use the charge attack here, which is Bone Club. Lucario is glassy. If you bring it, you do need to give it shields. I fire off the Shadow Ball here, expecting it. He does shield his Marowak. I try to get there to the Power Up Punch, but I figure Lucario's done a great job and I don't want to invest any more in it. I'm going to bring in my Girafarig with a little bit of energy from before. I try to go for the charge move, but I'm a little bit late with the farming. He does fire off the Shadow Ball, and here we go with the Mirror Coat. Mirror Coat does bring down that Alola Marowak. In comes the Bastiodon again though, and this is a familiar matchup. Trying to get my timing right with the confusions, it's not always easy. I'm going to go straight for the Earthquake here against the Poliwrath because my shields are down, and this is a critical situation for me. Let's see if he decides to shield it. And he does. He's going to protect his Poliwrath, which is the smart move. Going in here with another Power Up Punch, our Steelix is really weak. I try to get a little bit of chip damage in with the Crunch, but this is not looking good for us. Not very effective damage, as you can tell. I come back in with the Girafarig, and I've got a Thunderbolt, and I think that is what wins us the game. Awesome. Nope, in comes Bastiodon, and Bastiodon's got his Stone Edge. We lose that game in a thriller. Thank you so much for the battles, guys. Always a pleasure. Can't wait to do more Sinister Cup videos. Keep it locked here on the channel for more.